Hey, I'm wiggling here. No, I have hit live though. We are live.
His second cache.
That's the horrible. We should get
It's
rid
like,
of them as per usual. One cache is more than enough. Um, yeah. So this game psychologically profiles you, quote unquote.
yeah,
You can psychologically profile my butt.
it's gonna remember that.
Good. I hope it
It's gonna write
does.
that down. It's gonna factor into the notes.
All monsters are going to be butt monsters now, but that's pretty normal for Silent Hill.
Kind of.
Okay, is it just gonna keep doing this horrible?
Can it not do that when we're opening the menu to check the if the subtitles are on?
Right? It, I'm assuming that means it's on. Also,
Seems
it's
like on.
incredibly quiet.
I guess we want to overwrite. Well, it's on maxed volume, so
Yeah, but
gonna
it
have
was
to adjust that another way.
yeah, we're doing that now. That should be loud enough, and if it's not, well, well, it's gonna suck for everyone.
It'll still be better than yesterday's game if it's not loud enough.
God, it's horrible.
If it's mercifully not loud enough.
Take a game that's slightly too quiet, especially if I get captions for everything. Also, I've played a little bit of this before, but I never finished it. And I don't remember much about it other than being incredibly disappointed.
I can imagine this being quite upsetting. It's like a retelling of the first game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But they've
but wrong,
changed
bad and
everything.
horrible. Yeah.
Like if we need to start anywhere, let's start with the fact that they've changed how Harry and Cheryl look. They've given Harry glasses for some reason. He now wears glasses.
I'll be able to
And
spot all those wheelchairs from much further away. Won't be
a
surprised when he gets
wheelchair
right up to them.
here? Now he'll still be surprised. If they
He's
make
always
it so that
surprised.
Harry Mason is no longer surprised by wheelchairs, I'm rioting. um, but no one is shocked. This is one of the Silent Hills where it's just bad. Um, obviously anything post 4 is just miserable experience.
Yeah, that's the actual like original Silent Hill team only did the first 4, and then
Yo.
instantly it's like rock bottom, just from like really good, really cool series to just nothing.
Just absolutely nothing, and it's you'd expect at least like maybe like a change in quality or like a slight diversion from like what you were used to. No, they just said we're gonna run this into the ground immediately.
It
Uh,
was Homecoming with the first one they did, right?
I think
Oh, right, there's
so.
The new
It,
patient is here. They're early.
that's a good question. What
That's fine.
is?
We can
we
start
do
now.
tend to say Homecoming is the worst one.
I mean, it is. This is. Harry, you are a little loud now, but that's an acceptable loudness because thus far we've only had people talking, and you did just crash your car.
Oh, jeez.
Buddy. Um, they've made him look like Vincent from Silent Hill 3, which is a choice.
It's a strange decision because he's meant to not be someone you trust and want to, not someone you'd want to play as.
Right? I am curious about the release of these video games here, so I am gonna look it up real fast.
Oh, this man's mouth's moving, but he's not making sound.
Yeah, so are you talking to me? Because I can't hear. I'm sorry, I am a little hard of hearing. I need you to speak up, sir.
What is happening? What, is he sinking? What? Is this a bug? I think this might be a bug.
We've been here
Hmm.
for like 2
Is
minutes.
he sitting down? Is this what sitting down is like? Or is he gonna keep going through the floor?
Ah!
Okay.
Okay.
It's one of those classic Silent Hill horror moments.
We just watched. I think this is Kaufman, who's no longer just a regular doctor. He's a therapist now, I guess.
It's a little weird, but I guess I wanted to do the whole psychoanalyzing aspect.
Right? Hi, stars! We're just watching a therapist melt into his chair. I did want to check the release of the games, just dead quick. And it's, Silent Hill 1, 2, 3, and 4. Obviously, excuse me. Origins came out before this one. So it was Origins.
It was on the PSP.
Origins was horrible. It's on par
It's
as
one
far
of the
as
better ones.
Is it?
I mean, past 4 kind of is.
I put it at about the same level as Homecoming for different reasons.
I think Homecoming's worse in like every way.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think Origins just has like a shit spot in my heart at this point because
Yeah, it's awful. I mean,
'cause
it
they
tries to
took-
retcon everything.
Yeah, and it's like that is a choice. Coming in as like a new studio taking over this established IP and being like, yeah, that story that they have, fuck it, we're making it new now. And I mean, Homecoming is miserable. It's bad. It's not a good game.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it was Origins, Homecoming, Shattered Memories, and then Downpour.
So this is the one right off the back of Homecoming.
Right off of Homecoming, yeah. Like
Just before Downpour, which tries it kind of tries, which is more than can be said for the other ones, but it's so bad.
yeah.
And everything it does
Yeah.
is wrong and bad.
Yeah. Alright, let's see. Check the boxes to indicate which of the following is true or false. Okay. I make friends easily, I guess. Sure. Having a drink helps me relax. False.
Makes you steal Emmy socks.
No! Emmy steals the socks and then I have to free them from them.
I have evidence to prove the contrary.
I always listen to other people's feelings. Well, clearly that's false if I'm sitting over here being like, no, socks. I'd like to think it's true, though. Prefer abstract ideas. In what context? I need context. We'll say false then.
That is an interesting statement to just... You have
I-
to think abstractly about whether or not you prefer abstract thoughts.
Right? I have enjoyed roleplay during sex. Okay. Working to a plan or schedule is best. Yes, I'm autistic, listen. I've never cheated on a partner. That is true. I had to think about the way it was asking that question for a second, and that it wasn't trying to get me in a double negative.
Never cheated on a partner.
I am kind of sad that that man was still in the room and had not melted through the floor.
Right? It's correct. I've never cheated. Why is weirdo? Fine.
Let's get started.
Yeah. I know.
So he does know how to sit down properly, like a normal human being. Whoa! Whoa! What is happening here?
Oh, now we're sliding.
What is going on?
I kind of love it, but it's having trouble.
Why is it?
Gone.
Why is it like this?
This is fine.
Oh, boy.
It could
Anyway.
be that the disc Duck has fetched for us is the cartridge had some dust in it. He didn't blow it thoroughly enough before he put it in the console.
Dog, you gotta blow on the cartridge.
Baby.
But oh, whoa!
Sure.
I have a dedicated
you have a
Cheryl
Cheryl
button.
You have and this was before Heavy Rain.
Oh, it won't let me spam it.
That's David Cage
Unless
played this and was like the only way we could make this better.
I
if we
think it's
could say Cheryl more often.
I think it's cutting out the voice line because I can hear the start of this sound.
I had
Oh no. Okay, well, this is gonna make it interesting. We'll see if the bugs make it better.
probably won't make it more fun.
Whoa! Look at Harry go!
Cheryl.
Jason! Jason! Jason!
Sean! Sean! Is Cheryl behind that bin?
Is Cheryl in the bin?
Oh, you can
Excuse
get
me?
to think about it when you touch a door.
Okay. That's gonna be interesting. What do you mean? Oh. Oh.
Also, hi,
Okay.
Stars.
How are you doing, Stars? Cheryl.
Cheryl. She must be close if he's saying it that quietly.
Cheryl.
I can sense Cheryl.
Sweetie,
Oh.
sweetie.
It is weird that the Cheryl button is the same as the interact button. Because I will just be spamming X to try and interact with stuff, so we're gonna get Harry going, sweetie, Cheryl, pretty regularly.
That's a
Today is weird.
man
Bad
today.
weird. Good weird. Mid weird. Oh, there are things clipping through walls. This is fine.
That's the magic of Silent Hill, you see. Reality starts to collapse. That's why everyone's head out cars is so weird.
Makes sense. Hello? I'm doing this intentionally, by the way. It's not the game freaking out. I figured I should just mention. Huh? Grab hold of objects, move the hand cursor over them, and grab holding X. Oh.
It's a puzzle.
Oh, this is a mess. Okay, but there were a lot of rooms that I didn't explore.
Oh, Cheryl's not in those rooms.
How do you know?
Cheryl would never.
No, okay. Well, we're here now. Oh, he's whispering now.
Oh,
Sweetie.
he used all his voice up. You need
Yeah.
a refill.
Gotta go fill him up. Ew.
Sweetie?
I don't think she's in here. Harry is the thing. Oh, but no, is that a plunger or is that a pipe?
Cheryl?
It's not Cheryl. That is not your daughter. Yeah, titties. Look, we started out the weekend with a really bad game. We're finishing out the weekend with a really bad game. Cause that's what we do. Don't worry about it. I came back in here for absolutely no reason. You were right. Cheryl would never be in here. I should have listened.
I may have tried to look up what it's doing with psych profile.
Oh? What does it do?
It's very dumb.
Well, yeah. Oh, run. It's not a good run. That's fine.
Cheryl?
Would you Cheryl with the class? What the psych profile does?
So there's like 4 different things it's thinking of, and depending on what shit you look at in the background, that's how it does the psychological profile.
Oh.
So if you like look at a lot of beer cans as you're walking around, you turn into drunk dad, and then you get the drunk dad ending because you looked at a lot of beer cans.
Oh no.
Careful, you don't look at the sign on the bar. You'll be drunk dad.
We're gonna turn our back to that. That's the drunk dad ending is the only one that I know about. Because I remember like a friend telling me about it, and I'm like, this is genuine. Hence the stream title, but it's like this is genuine like character assassination on Harry, and I'm not here for it.
Yeah, I don't.
Also, those dresses are just blobs.
Them some blobs.
Them some blobs.
We spent a lot of time looking at them though. That might influence your ending. Is there a dress ending?
Well, there's some brought. Excuse me.
If you look at the underpants, that will absolutely do it. One of those is one of them sleaze and sirens.
Oh no. Cool. So basically don't look at anything.
Don't look at anything. Genuinely says on the wiki, if you don't look at anything, you'll get the best ending. Not looking at the things that make you get the other endings makes you get the best ending.
What the fuck?
Simply not examining any objects that will influence the other playstyles will influence this playstyle.
Huh? I assume it's like an interaction thing. Like I have to like click on an item to look at it, and that'll.
I'm not certain.
Oh, okay.
It might be just like if you point your camera at things for too long. I just fuck it. Whatever happens, happens. This is dumb anyway.
Yeah. Oh, a key. I
Give me
unzip
that key.
Oh, hold on. Sorry, I don't want to be an indecent dad. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
ma'am.
you're gonna get the indecent dad ending.
Okay, thank you. I like that I accidentally clicked again and just looked like he patted it.
Cheryl?
I said, oops, my bad. What does it say? He is in Jane's jacket.
Oh, well, we found it.
Oh.
Oh.
We're chugging, huh?
It's fine. That was a hard door to open.
I just want to see people float more. That was great. Yeah, you can't look at stuff or else consequence.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I guess is kind of no.
Well, that's the true ending is the one where you don't look at anything and you just go look for Cheryl. You don't look at any non-Cheryl objects, which is true to his character. You were wrong. It turns out.
Why is this so large? Why is this missing cat poster so large? Also, why did Harry start saying "poor cat" and just did not finish the voice line? Harry. I know we're having a hard time.
It's neglect to look at anything except your kid. It's true.
I mean, you get the bad dad ending and
Well, there's
any and
3 other
all.
endings, and they all seem to be bad dad endings. You can be sleaze and sirens, wicked and weak, or drunk dad.
What's wicked and weak?
Oriented on being a rude, apathetic, and lazy person, examining trivial objects such as movie posters, arcade machines, and toys will influence this one. You looked at too many arcade machines. You're wicked and weak.
What the fuck? That makes no sense. That doesn't make any sense. Just don't look at anything.
Also, we can never be a drunk dad because we didn't say having a drink helps me relax at the beginning.
So
Unless you did say that, I can't remember.
I did not.
Okay. I prefer abstract ideas. No one had any. No one knew what they were talking about. Doesn't influence anything. That's a wild ruse.
Oh. We got it. Catch me at the
Saying,
arcade.
I have
getting
enjoyed
wicked.
roleplay during sex. Puts you on. Gives you points towards sleaze and sirens.
So we're
Of
kink
course.
shaming.
Absolutely, immediately
is what I'm
on the
hearing.
first screen of the game.
Dang. What a game.
Just acknowledging that sex exists will put you on that ending, I think, is the way it works. So just be a good Christian dad.
Ignore the I was gonna say, I was like, ignore the fact that you have a child, and I'm like, wait, no, Harry and his wife did find her on the side of the road. So, sex was not involved, actually. How could they do this to my boy?
Oh no.
Like, that was the whole, at this point, like, the whole bad dad trope wasn't necessarily as, like, prevalent as it is now. But, like, that's one of the, like, really nice things about Silent Hill 1 is that Harry is, like, the ultimate dad. Yeah! And so it's, like, to have this entire game be like, oh, well, if you interact with it in any way, you're actually a bad dad is infuriating. What is happening here?
You're gonna levitate. Okay.
We saw
there she goes.
gummies!
I need your
Help.
help. I need your help.
Oh,
Car stuck in the snow?
that's not what she
Crawling
said.
Your windshield?
It's my daughter.
What
She's missing.
happening?
She run off?
We were in a car accident. When I came to, she was gone.
Car accident? And where did this happen?
So you're gonna answer your phone.
Phone?
I came off the road and
Yeah.
ended up in the junkyard.
What
And my
phone?
daughter's missing.
Who was
Come
phone?
on, state.
Who was
My daughter
phone?
is out there. You have to find her.
A lot of people need help tonight. Look around. The whole town.
The wallet
mad.
is speaking,
You're
in
screwing me.
fact.
Can I see your license?
What? Is this supposed to be Sybil?
I think she can be
Harry
like
Mason,
several different
William
characters
Street.
depending on what like
That's
ending you've got the most
Mm.
points
Street?
towards.
Yeah. Yes.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
Sure hope you weren't drinking.
It's
before you
incorrect.
There
There's
wouldn't be
a lot.
another cop, right?
No! I asked because, like, her uniform said Silent Hill Police,
Only a few
which
blocks
is also
away.
incorrect. Lil Uzi Vert Bando, thank you for the follow.
Sir?
What is
Your phone?
happening right now? This is
Fine.
bizarre and surreal. Press circle to take out Harry's cell phone. It has many uses. For example, you can take photos, use GPS, or dial numbers you find.
So
Okay.
unfortunately, we're on wicked and weak right now because we've looked at too many things in the world. That's why she's cop Cyril. That's Sybil, and not just a lady with brown hair. And there's also a sexy cop version.
Oh no. Is anyone gonna? Okay. I haven't even looked at that many things though.
True.
Oh, that man scared me? It's fine.
Maybe when we looked
come
at the
back.
Lost Cat poster, we were like, that is too big. How did he even get up there? The game was like, I see, you wicked and weak.
It is true. I am wicked and weak. It did get me there.
See, it's done a psych profile already.
Oh wow.
Oh jeez. Oh boy.
Okay. So we have a phone. Interesting. Also, she's just gone
Yeah,
entirely.
she floated away while we were talking, so we just talked to the wallet.
This is fine. Ooh! This town is home to many lost and discarded objects, although these mementos have no practical value or purpose. They once meant something to someone. Okay. Can I read this? It still has its price tag on. Zoom.
Whoa.
Covering himself with light as with a cloak, stretching out the heavens as a curtain. Psalm 104 too. There's a little girl right there.
Full go.
Alright, we stored a memento. Hey, look around to find mementos, but don't look around too hard.
Yeah. Carefully your gaze doesn't meet anything else while you're looking for mementos.
Nah. Not, the door is jammed shut. I can't use it. Alright. Not my Silent Hill.
Shit. I should know where I am. What is wrong?
Not my Harry.
Not my Harry at all.
Back the way I came. Please be there.
Harry's one is a map function. Did it say I could just push up? No. That's a lie. It's fine. Oh. This doesn't help me at all, actually.
You go very slow and it doesn't zoom out very far.
Yeah. That's a sports bar. Nah.
Would a good dad go in a sports bar though? Or are you
Well-
wicked and weak for trying?
No, I think that would make me drunk dad.
Yeah, you're gonna be drunk dad now. You took the sports bar.
Do you remember when they tried to make phones as small as possible and then we were all like, please, I need to be able to hold it? It's a layer of reality that cannot be seen with the naked eye.
Why
What's about to swing in this play?
fun see it?
Right? What is happening?
Oh, I think there's a ghost there or something.
Oh, I see it outside of the phone.
Yeah, why can we only see it outside the phone?
I wonder if that
I
just
can-
like indicates where to take a picture and then we take it and we see it.
Oh,
Oh, Cheryl. Oh, I have a message? Listen?
Oh. Cheryl.
Okay, I guess I can't listen to it.
It's 1 femtosecond long.
Holy shit. This is... What a game, huh? I'm glad I have a broken version.
Yeah. We're big Silent Hill 1 fans here. So
Love Silent Hill 1. He's good.
anyone who tries to say that Harry is not the best possible dad
They're
can actually go
immediately
to hell.
incorrect. Yeah! Yeah! Listen! How dare you? This is my goodest dad, Harry.
We are definitely going backwards, by the way.
I thought that's what we were supposed to do?
I wasn't paying very much attention. So
I mean, neither
if
was
it's
I,
meant to go
really.
this way, then go this way.
Oh,
yeah, that's right. It's you got a little triangle there.
yeah.
Careful,
I
you
thought-
don't look at anything.
Right? Just keep our head down. Don't acknowledge anything. Don't interact with anything.
Just stare at the floor the whole time you play the game.
Right?
There was a usable thing there, but probably won't work.
Where?
The thing that says X to use when you go near it.
Oh, we played that already.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
Don't take a picture of that. That'll make us a bad dad. What
Is
are
it
we...
the hat? Is the hat doing this? Is it the dress in the corner? Is it this lady?
Yeah, I guess so. It wiggled. Oops, hold on.
Hey, it's Caitlin. I am looking at the world's most beautiful prom dress.
I mean,
I'm so excited. Mike will be putty in my hands. Catch up tonight.
wowie. What a great information we have received here. Oh boy! What a game.
That is a weird one. I don't... That's a weird one, and that's you have to seek out the item that's causing that,
Yeah.
but without looking at any of the wrong items.
Yeah.
Cheryl?
Daddy? Daddy?
Sweetie,
Oh, this one worked.
you're okay? You at home?
We can only listen to some of
Sweetie,
them.
Wait there. Wait for me.
You have to run, Daddy. You can't fight them. Run!
What?
Why is the 7-year-old talking like she's 4?
Cheryl? I'm coming to get you.
Daddy, watch out for the bad man. Damn it.
Oh no.
Oh.
That's not what you want to see. Oh yeah, it's like an ice Silent Hill.
Yeah. I will.
Kinda, I
I
like
was
that
gonna
you see
say.
the change in real time. That's kind of cool.
I was gonna say, I do like this as a concept. It's just unfortunate that it's in this game. But yeah, having the world change around you, very neat. There's a lot of noise happening, though.
Silent Hill 1 did kind of try and do like gradual changes and stuff, but you just couldn't on the PS1.
Yeah.
Like, it had to be like from room to room.
Yeah. It was effective for what it was, though.
Yeah.
Which was cool. But yeah, it was just limited in the technology that they had. Hey, Harry, we gotta hustle, buddy.
Oh, the cat slowed down when you looked at the door.
My people need me!
Oh.
I don't know what's happening. Oh. Find the exit. Run at the blue edges that mark routes. Listen to the distortion that precedes danger. Find the exit to 11th Street and escape the nightmare. Glance behind.
All of a bot.
Okay. Well.
Just run
So
at blue things.
Understood. It is true, we are all just attempting to escape the nightmare. Ah! What is...
Hello there. It's a creature.
It's a creature! Gotta throw them off and run! Alright. I just wanted to look at him. He was a funny little guy.
Just a little scamp.
Excuse me!
What? they decide to get you while you're going over a fence, you're not avoiding that. That's just happening to you.
Right?
This is the world you live in.
Here? Ooh.
Oh.
Oh. No, I'm not here. You bitch!
Horrible.
Alright, there is no hide, there is only run.
Yeah.
Where am I going?
That's a good question.
I'm just
I would suggest
following...
hugging the left-hand wall.
Yeah, that tracks. I'm not doing it though.
Oh, I can't believe you've done this.
Can I? Okay. Wow! Okay, look, he was in. This is rude!
This is very rude.
I think
Just fucking fired that child, though.
I think I have doubled back.
Had to say, because you didn't follow the left-hand wall. Should have solved all of your problems forever.
You're right. Here we go,
Wait.
here we go.
The slam through a door move can get interrupted? Horrible.
I think it all can. It's not good.
So, like, the main problem people have with this, even, like, back in the day, I do remember being how shit these sequences were.
Yeah, it's not good. Oh, this is a problem. Oh, this is a problem.
Oh, he's mad.
Heckin' Angie. Ugh. Well, I didn't want to go through there, but, you know, that's fine, I guess. Can we not?
I think they have a not mode.
I would appreciate a not mode.
Oh, the screen's going fuzzy now, and it sucks.
Yeah, it's not good.
I don't like looking at it.
Oh,
What the fuck?
well,
I
I guess
died.
we're dead.
Got cuddled to death.
Holy shit. What? Yeah, I know I can pull out my GPS. Here's the thing. I'm getting
Yeah,
chased.
you can't, though, because you'll never stop being chased. There'll never be a point where it's okay to take out the phone and look and see where you're going.
Right? Okay. We have to go, like, that way. But
So
I have
you're
to go.
saying if we were to, for example,
Yes.
stick close perhaps to like the left most side of the area, that might be a good
Yes.
idea.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Ugh. Fuck off!
It's very funny when he launches though.
Yeah,
Doesn't
but...
always do it, but when he punts them, it's pretty good.
Okay. We need to go through the door that little guy just went through. Please. Please. So that whole... Well, combat's not like a main staple. It is important to Silent Hill. We've just done away with that, huh?
Yeah.
Just said, actually, it's not important at all.
I don't. It's hard to make like a full length. I don't think you can make like a full length Silent Hill game without any combat really. You
Yeah.
could probably do like a spin-off or something, like a little side thing with no combat. I think that'd be reasonable.
Yeah. Is this the exit?
Hey,
Thank God.
just that easy.
Fucking hell. Oh geez, the pixels. Listen, it made Zardoz that much better. Weird movie is Zardoz.
I want to talk about
Who's Zardoz? Is he gonna glide? Do it. Slide. Emily? Emily? Emily?
family. For you,
Oh,
family is about
Emily,
physical
Emily.
affection and making your feelings known. For giving me that look. I'm talking too much. Well, let's have
No,
you
you're
talk.
not floating enough.
Whatever you feel comfortable doing.
Why does he have so much alcohol back there?
False. Is it true to say you're a private person?
I bet if you look at it, you get bad dad points.
Just gotta not look at it.
I
What did
wasn't
he ask me?
listening to what he said. I'm sorry.
Yes?
Would you say it takes a while for people to get to know you?
Yes?
People can choose their friends, but not their family.
That's
Would you
bullshit,
prefer to
my
spend
dude.
friends over
I think we need
I
a new
disagree,
therapist.
and also pretty sure that Harry would disagree on that one.
Right? I also missed his last question again. Fuck. Oh! Whoa! Whoa! No.
Am I saying?
Nothing surprising there.
Would you prefer to spend
No.
time with friends over
You're
family?
going to like this. On the
Oh.
That's
top
what
is
you
a
just said no
pencil
to.
picture.
I mean,
I want
yes.
you to let out your inner child and color the picture.
Oopsies.
Family.
Okay.
Oh wow. Go
Huh.
hog wild on that. What? Cowards.
What do you mean? Wait.
You're finished.
No! I was trying to choose a different color.
We're just gonna be here for 3 hours coloring in.
Yeah. Yeah,
Fuck you,
actually.
Koffa.
Best part of the game so far. Let's freaking go.
You know what? What? Is this doing points?
Oh god. I have to get the right pixel for the little bits. Is it doing points?
Oh, I'll tell you.
Okay. I mean, I figured it would, but, you know. The fuck, Cheryl, I'm coloring.
Yeah. There is only like one part of this it actually tracks.
Oh. Well.
I mean, do you coloring? By
I'm gonna
all
do my
means.
Coloring. I'm gonna do my coloring. Here's the thing.
It's better than the running away from the monster children.
It's true. I can color in individual pixels if I'm not careful. So that's interesting. This is Harry, so we have to give him brown hair. Please. There we go. What color shirt does Harry have? Dark blue shirt. Hey. And black jeans? Yeah. And then our gay dad over here can have a pink shirt and purple pants. And a purple
And
arm, I
also
guess.
purple arm. That's the powerful arm.
That is a choice. I'll do some shoes. Harry, what color shoes do you want? You get this color. I don't know what that color is, but it's a color. Sure is color. Belt? You can match your belt to your shoes. bright green hair.
Her alien boyfriend.
We love alien boyfriend here. Right, I need to fix that because that's Sky. That's also probably Sky, honestly. Look, I am gonna be a bit of a perfectionist with this because I like this.
It's important.
Alien boyfriend belongs, don't you worry.
Yeah.
What color house do we want? What funny colored house do we want?
It's a good, funny color for a house.
Also purple? No, purple should be the accent colors, like this.
Oh, yeah.
And this.
So, like a pink house with purple
Yeah.
accents.
Oh, that's like the whole roof. Okay. Well, that's fine. What an eyesore!
Nice.
I love it!
The neighbors are gonna complain and we're gonna tell them to fuck off.
Yeah! Okay. I want alien boyfriend to have different colored pants, I've decided. Not sky color.
It's gonna change his app as well.
I know. That's fine. This way they're matching a little bit. Okay, let's do... Right? I would live in the clown house.
Who
Here's-
wouldn't?
Here's the thing. I love clown house, actually.
Welcome home.
I see what you've done there.
Look at a clown house, hell yeah.
True. In that case, this has to be These are gonna be black because these are the eyes. I don't know what this is.
It's his mouth.
So then it has to be red.
Yeah.
And our car has to be bright green. With this turquoise? Is that what this color? No, that's a darker green.
The pencil looks turquoise, but
Right? It's fine.
it's just dark green.
Orange windows.
Beautiful.
And lights.
Dr. fucking Kaufman must be so bored and angry right now.
He's actively sinking through his chair at this moment.
Yeah.
Oops. Oops.
Why can you call it that?
I don't know, but I love that. And we're gonna do it yellow.
Oh,
Makes everything nice and bright and lovely.
stands out.
Yeah. Let's do... We don't have that many colors, which is a little tragic.
Yeah.
But we'll make do. And this will be green.
Kaufman, by the way, is like the just one of the most horrible characters in Silent Hill.
Yeah, he's a bad man. Like through and
He's
through, is just a horrible, awful guy.
Yeah, he's like a higher up in the cult, and he's also a drug dealer on the
Yeah.
side.
And is blackmailing people
Yeah,
and getting them
because he
hooked
gets
on
them
drugs.
addicted to the drugs, and then
Yeah.
then he can blackmail them. He can do both things. He can multitask.
It's a not a good thing. We don't like this man who can multitask.
We're making him watch his pin a house.
While we're telling him all about alien boyfriends.
Yeah.
who I've decided gets red pants.
And red
arm.
hair.
Yeah. But also... No!
Sorry, alien boyfriend, we're really trying. They have one white eye,
Yeah.
because that's normal on their planet.
Then... Please, Harry. Oh, I guess alien boyfriend is gonna have a yellow arm as well. This is fine. This is fine.
That's the communal arm.
Oh, I can zoom in? Are you shitting me? Okay, well,
Those
whatever.
exact pixels.
There's our beautiful, wonderful drawing. Let's go back.
You're finished.
Yeah, I'm done. Don't you
What a
love it?
Lovely family home. Is your home like this?
No, I wish it was. I wish I lived in Clown House.
There we are!
Are you shitting me right now?
Barely even bothered to pay attention to the colors. It just did like a wall. Duh.
My mailbox is red and my car was green. It paid attention.
Pay a little bit of attention.
Didn't
These
make-
columns should definitely be orange though.
Yeah, they should. Purple and orange. Get it right, game. Oh my god. I'm glad I went ridiculous with it.
I'm glad you went ridiculous with it too.
Okay, son.
No! What are you people doing in my house? Cheryl!
Easy there. This isn't your house.
Some trouble, honey?
No, Lucy. This man here's just.
I'm gonna punch these people.
This is my house!
Well,
Did
I
it
don't see
pay
how that
attention to
could
what
be
color
the
you get
case.
shirt you
We've
gave
been
them, but
here
not
nearly
anything else?
14 years.
Also, you're supposed to be an alien boyfriend.
That was our daughter, Katie. You're in a bad way, son. Getting yourself all worked up.
Are you okay?
I am not okay!
I'm a little
I was in a
disappointed
car
that they're
accident.
not more
My daughter is gone! And you
more
people
like
are
what
in
I
my
wanted them
house.
to be.
This is all wrong!
You're starting to make a scene.
No.
This doesn't make sense. Not at all.
That's a good
Cheryl!
response if someone
You are
tells you they've just
upsetting
been
my
in a
wife.
car accident.
Get the hell out of my house.
You're making a scene.
It's my house! It's my damn house! Cheryl!
I think we should leave Harry. Mouth window isn't red either.
That's wild because it says if the player rushes and doesn't color in the lines, then Harry's impatient and rude. And the opposite applies if Harry takes his time. So I think we got. Oh, there's some sliding.
You know what's funny? I've been a cop in this town for 20 years. Before that, I used to ride around in my
if
daddy's
Harry
patrol
takes his
car.
time,
Know the
sorry.
town, know the
If
people.
Harry takes his time, he's very
Your
polite.
face? I
Oh.
don't know you.
So I think we got impatient rude Harry, even though we definitely took our
Seems
time.
Everything is out of whack.
I wonder if it's because I was like clicking a whole bunch in some spots because I kept getting
No
pixels.
one's saying out
You can only
driving
use
tonight.
so many clicks, so
Sorry,
you get the
I
bad
didn't mean to.
ending.
It's okay.
Horrible.
Playing the game too much
What
gives
the
you a
hell
worse
is
outcome, as usual.
We only talked about
Probably how it works.
meteorology in the academy. Hell, we
Yeah.
didn't hear about this till it was happening. Barely
How
had time
long
to close off the major
Is this
highways.
game?
It's like the whole town is being
What is
punished.
this game?
It's only weather.
Sure.
Ma'am, can I get out of your car? I don't want to be here. Whoa!
Ma'am, please slow down. The visibility. Oh wait, did we just go through a building? Oh, there it is, though.
Away!
Oh,
I love how he crawls from seat to seat. He's like
just
a horrible
wiggle, it's
spider.
weird. Yeah, that's horrible.
Oh, zoom.
That was kind of cool, but I think it was a bug and not on purpose.
Yeah. Hinted fire.
Oh.
Hemingway Ultima Lights. Okay, we'll store that then. Can I get back here?
You gonna let the snow in? Actually, what is happening there?
I open this? No, it's locked. Got the child locks on. Safety first, Sean. Whoa, where are you going, Harry?
He's squiggling.
Can I... Harry, you have to stop wiggling. Okay. I vroom my way out of here. Cool.
This is my favorite station.
It is Sybil. That's incorrect. Sybil wasn't a Silent Hill cop. She was a cop for the town over, you fools. Get it right. Ooh. Okay, well,
Crunch.
can I look at that? No?
No.
Okay. Okay. Where are you going?
Why does he keep sliding into the back? How does this keep happening?
I don't know. I need him to stop doing that, though. I love it when I can only roll my windows part way down. It's my favorite. Well, that was fun. How did we get here? How did this happen?
Kind of went weird.
Yeah.
Gonna snow in it.
We got snow on the inside. Hey, deer crossing. Can we... No, can't go that way. Alright, understood. You don't have to hit X to climb things, by the way. In that instance, I just walked close enough to it that Harry was like, yes, I go over now.
Wanted to feel it. Oh, with that...
Okay.
The box open jump scare. It wasn't really looking directly at it, so is that still what was jump
And that
scaring?
party in the woods makes me uncomfortable. I need you to come pick me up.
Okay. Where are we? Why are we here? What is this place? I stump. What's this? I grab.
That's not first aid.
Yeah, that's unhelpful. If I were injured, wouldn't want to stab that into a wound. Stop, says Harry. Such a stompy lad. So, like... I can't remember. Do the enemies only show up in the horrible nightmare world?
I think so. I think it's designated enemy sections, and then the rest is just walking around.
That's boring.
Or doing the, like, questionnaires.
I see. Whoa, look at that water! Sure is texture out.
Yeah. It's a weird repeating texture, and I kind of don't care.
Is
I
there
think
a ghost?
artistically, I haven't hit this so far. I would say this. It's not like what I think of when I think Silent Hill. It's like
Yeah.
running around in the woods.
Yeah. Ooh. Marble. Marble. I think this is one of those that would like have been very interesting and neat had it not associated itself with Silent Hill.
It could be, but I also think that like the like profiling element is just a bad idea.
Yeah.
And it thought it was like really, really clever, and it's actually just a dumb idea.
Yeah. Why is everything getting wiggly? Where? There?
That looks like a ghost to me. Unless it's a chupacabra. Oh.
Neither. Oh, it
Dang.
moved. So cold, but I'm happy because I know I will see my brother again soon. Lying down now, cold. A bird just put a leaf on me. Or did I dream it? I love you all. Okay. Well, that's nice.
Tragic.
Is there anything else here before we leave? No, that's just back where we came. Okay, we leave. Harry, we've not been running for that long. You're not even running that hard. He's getting all huffy and out of breath. And I need him to stop because he's fine, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thought we were just gonna pull the plank out, but that works too. Stop on over. Let's go.
What the fuck are we?
I don't know. No place from the first game, that's for sure.
Yeah, you'd think we'd like hit up the major. Like Harry is. I don't know.
Nah. Nah. Just a single street and this weird water treatment plant? It's not even like... I mean, I guess it could maybe be the sewers from the original, but... It doesn't...
Yeah, there are sewers in the original. They have weird lizards in.
Yeah.
Horrible, not lizards, the like bug man.
Yeah.
I think it's Spider-Man. It's Spider-Man, the sewer's full of lizards.
I mean, bugs, lizards. What's the
Same
difference?
exact thing.
Yeah. Also, Stars is getting a Meow Mix ad. Looking at cat food over there? Who is chirping? Who chirp? Oh, what's that? Phew. Told them to not go too far, but they wanted to mess around with the new girl. No one was supposed to get hurt. I'm burning the trash. No one will know. We were here. Well, and then you've got a silly picture there. Okay. Welcome back, Stars. Is that supposed to be blood? Because it just looks very silly.
It looks like a pattern. Is it meant
Right?
to be blood?
I don't know. It's like
No, it's just like flowers.
awfully strange flowers.
Yeah, but now they're overlapping, so is it
Yeah.
slices of ham that they've rested on there? Or...
Just a little bit of pepperoni to
Yeah.
make it tastier. Whoa! Where are you going, Harry?
You wanted to go jump.
Clearly. What's this? What this? Henry's on the lake, live bait! Stuff on the floor. In through the window we go. Is there anything in here? Door.
So are we? How
Oh,
far away
shut.
from the town are we now?
Very.
We just decided to go for a walk off into the woods. We're gonna walk
Can't-
into a different game. We're gonna be in wherever Alan Wake is.
To say I can't shout for Cheryl anymore, which is kind of tragic.
Yeah.
We've just forgotten about her entirely. I'm sure she's fine. Oh,
Yeah.
wait. But I've been in there.
No. Game.
Okay.
Where are we?
Game,
Where are we going?
the space is incredibly linear. Please don't give me like 5 different ways to get into the single area. Because I am gonna look in all of the spaces, despite there being nothing there.
It affects your profile. Does which spaces you look at. Please don't look at all the things. Only look at one subset or none of them all.
But how am I supposed to know which one is a continuation and which one is from where I was before?
Please consult the wiki before looking at anything. Just keep your eyes closed until Game FAQ says it's okay.
Okay. Okay, and that's where I came out from. So we need to go this way. It is really just a follow the left-hand wall game, huh?
Kinda is.
Okay.
I'd be the
Well,
best player ever at this game.
yeah, you
I'm
would.
practicing my whole life for this.
You've been waiting the whole time. What is that? Oh.
Oh, it's a ghost right there.
Dear.
Is that a ghost of like a cow?
It's a deer.
Oh, deer. Ghost of a deer?
Joel Jr.'s first kill. He shot like he was born with a rifle in his hands. Gonna make his grandpa proud. Who are these people? Why does this matter to me?
It's just like I'm sure there is like all this weird rural shit around Silent Hill. It's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, but like it's not what Silent Hill is, right? You got a perfectly good ghost town right over there.
Right?
Why are we walking off into the woods?
Reasons. I guess. I don't know. Ooh, what are you? But I have a flashlight that works. Safety flashlight.
A broken ward.
Oh. Boy.
Maybe if you look at those books, the game will think you're smart, and then you'll get a good ending again. Yes, indubitably.
I mean, if we really don't want to look at anything, I'll just keep my head down and keep going. But they put things in the video game.
Yeah, I tend to look at a lot of
Assumably to
things
look
in
at.
video games that I play.
Yeah.
I don't know what that makes, what my psych profile would say about that. Probably that I'm an alcoholic
Nosy.
and also very weak and mean.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. No. It's just silly. Hello?
Officer Bennett? What's going on? I'm in
Away.
some woods. What? Come on. I need to find
phone number.
I'm heading back to town.
Are we?
Why did I have questions?
Oh!
Oh, that's better. That's Silent Hill.
So we need to go north. We gotta keep following the river. Understood. Let's be on the correct side. My flashlight keeps flashing, and I don't know if that's because I'm near something, or if it's just it being, like, ambient nonsense, or what's going on.
It's probably like building up to the monster section.
Probably. What this? Need that key.
Oh, it's that key.
It just automatically grabbed the key because I was in the process of opening the wallet. It's fine.
Got that key.
Got that key. Gave me that key.
Sounds back, by the way.
Yeah. Welcome back, Stars.
Meow Mix has been defeated.
Get out of here, Meow Mix. Excuse me?
Oh, it's happening now.
Okay, well... It doesn't like it when things start changing.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, well. Well. Before we go outside... Where? We're still
Where
trying
are
to
we?
head... Still trying to
Where are we
head north.
expected?
No. We can head east? South and then east?
South is just forwards. We can do south.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. Okay, new waypoint added. Where?
Beautiful.
Where? South.
Oh,
We
way
can-
south.
We just go straight. Understood. Let's go.
Follow that left-hand wall, and we'll never have any problems. As long as it doesn't actually turn off to the left, that could be a problem.
Yeah. Oh. This is fine.
Seems like you're not getting 100% of all available frames here.
Yeah. I wouldn't worry about it. I'm sure it's fine. No, that does a phone call. Do I have like a button left? It told me up, but it's actually left button on the D-pad.
Makes
To get
perfect
to
sense.
map. Game. I can't.
Well, there's no way to not go here, so...
Yeah, but I can't get where they want me to go from here. So
Yeah, it does make the map slightly less useful when the area we need to go to is blocked off.
Great. Oh boy.
Oh, it's crackling.
Yeah. It's... Alright. Now we got monsters. Oh lordy coming. Can we jump this?
Oh, did they just catch you if you run in a straight line? That's horrible.
But I need to run in a straight line.
Yeah. That's that one move.
What is this?
That's a red.
Emergency flares. Light the flare with L1. The heat will hold off the creatures while it lasts. Harry can also create a temporary barrier by throwing down a lit flare.
Oh
pressing
shit,
L1
we did
again.
run into Alan Wake.
Yeah. Huh.
Dang. I was
Well.
joking, Cam. Don't.
game said we love Alan Wake here, actually. L1. Why did we do that, though? Oh, oops. Okay, that's fine. It is very hard to control Harry when we're running. Climb down?
He's having some problems. He's had a rough day with
Clearly.
monsters. Keep grabbing him.
Yeah, I think
fire them away.
I think I have doubled back, which is a bit of a problem.
How did we manage that? Oh no, yeah, this is the very start, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's not the very start. This is a couple
start
of seconds
enough.
ago. Oh, we are limping now, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
This-
gameplay portion of this is, like, wildly bad.
Yeah. Excuse me, coming through.
Yeah, and now he gets us, because there's nowhere to... Oh! You dodged him!
I
How'd you
don't
do it?
magic. I went left when he wanted me to go right.
You zigged and he zagged.
Yeah. Just gotta anticipate what they're anticipating. Throw that down, I guess. I don't know if that's
Drop all the
actually
pellets.
helping. Yeah, we're, again, just getting in touch with our DBD days. It's fine. Just loop the killer. It's fine, actually. Can we be done here now? Oh.
That's stuck.
Is it
this the time?
safe?
I'm on the phone. Yeah, we're coming back early. This isn't working out. Mom! Not now, honey. Mommy's on the phone. Can't you look after her? Mommy! Shush. Go show Daddy.
Quack, hoot,
This
squawk,
whole trip
squawk.
was a
Is
bad
that
idea.
important?
I don't know.
Before we even came,
Quack, hoot,
but I
squawk,
went
squawk,
along.
cluck.
The last
Cluck,
thing
that
we
was the
needed
last
was
one.
time alone together. I won! Mom! I won! All right. In a minute. Diane, hold for a second.
Is this important? Oh, we're just like stuck in here. Oh, it's important. Quack, hoot.
Squawk, squawk, cluck. Huh. Oh, yeah, that the dog melted.
Okay.
We got another, one
We
of
don't
those.
Yeah, we don't get to hear the "you won" message, so that's fine, I guess.
But we won.
You've won. Oh. No! Can we not be here anymore?
Eh.
Okay, I do have to go this way. I was making sure there wasn't another door over there. Boop!
Oh. I got on.
Oh, we are losing so many frames. It's fine.
I'm not doing great on friends.
No.
We dropped 3 or 4.
Okay. Go away!
Why did you just stop and let him grab you, Harry?
Harry, please. Fuck! Where do I go? Up. We go up.
Didn't know you get that move. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I also was a little,
The music keeps going.
confused.
Ha, 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 ha.
Why can't it be like Wally Darling and go, ha, 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 ha?
Ha, 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 ha.
Go away!
I hate when he stops and lets them grab him. Just go through the door,
Right?
Harry. If you didn't wait, he wouldn't have got you.
Harry, you're gonna get us killed, is the thing. Okay, well, it's fine, because we made it through. We didn't die! And we didn't die. Where are we?
Nice.
Somehow we made it here. That's fine.
Well, we had ran across the lake, I think.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, as much as any of this makes sense, yeah.
That's why we went all the way out here. That's why we had this whole level of just wandering around in the snow. So we could run across a frozen lake.
That typeface, huh? That's what you've chosen? That's what you landed on?
This is Comic Sans country.
Horrible. Prize and the Silent Hill 2 remaster.
Yeah. Oh no. They did
is...
a really bad job with that.
Yeah, it's not good. Oh. Alright, guess we can't listen to that one. That's fine. That is...
Right Baker in for that one. What
Not
choice?
good. Did not good. That is the only version of Silent Hill 2 that I own anymore. And I hate it.
There's always emulas.
Yep. It's not my physical copy.
It's true.
I used to have Silent Hill 1, 2, and 3 all for PlayStation 1 obviously, and then PS2 for the others, but they
I won't be able
went
to
away.
play Silent Hill 2 anyway because it would be too dark on my TV.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, television.
Yeah, it's really tragic.
Honestly, though.
I want to play my silly video game.
Nope, too dark. Gotta get you a CRT just for just such a situation. We're going to the high school? Not the elementary? Where...
But Cheryl never... Did Cheryl go? Cheryl like 10, right?
Cheryl is 7, and I think Alessa was also, like, between, like, 7 or 10. No,
She's
maybe
like
she was 14.
And shit, but... Oh, okay.
Thinking, hold on.
Harry, I've been calling
I
you.
know she was 17.
Okay.
Oh, it's doing all the voices at
Out of
once.
the woods.
Yeah, it is.
I'm on a football field.
She is
She's
She
doing
is
up there.
Midwich High School.
17
Listen, Harry,
in
Midwich has a gym.
in
They often use it as
Silent
an
Hill
emergency
1,
shelter in severe
but that's
weather.
only because she is
Yeah.
aged
Wait there for me.
since
I'm going.
Yeah, she's been in hospital
Yeah.
for 7 years at that point.
Yes,
So
so
yeah,
yeah,
she
she's
never went
10.
to
Do this
high
for me?
school.
never went to high school. It was always elementary.
Harry,
Okay, please, I can't be in this phone call anymore. Okay. Okay.
The original Silent Hill, all the places you go are places that held a lot of significance to Alessa.
I'm going to throw out some words.
We haven't
You
met
know,
her yet, I'm
like
sure
if
that'll
you
be fun.
were at school.
But
Shake your head if they don't.
Alessa never went to high school.
Yeah.
Jock.
No.
Next. Slut.
No.
Drunk.
No.
Virgin.
I guess.
Is that good? Can we get the good
Bully.
ending, please?
No.
And slacker.
It would
No.
never.
Okay. Let's take a different.
What if I just said
On the
no to
table, I laid
everything?
out a blank timetable and some cards with lessons on them. Pick out the lessons to show me your perfect school day.
Can we not?
Don't
High
give
school
any
is
of them.
miserable.
There are only 4 periods, and I've allocated a very generous lunch.
Ew. Okay, well, if this is my perfect
This is
perfect
dumb
thing,
garbage, apparently. But pick away.
gonna do creative writing and literature. Get some science in there. And can we do away with all the rest?
Put religion in there. I
Ew.
wasn't allowed in that lesson, so I just did whatever.
Why weren't you allowed? Did you get kicked out?
Yeah, the teacher was insane for RE. I had the crazy teacher, and she just banned some of the kids from a class.
What the fuck?
I did put a lot of polystyrene in her hair when
If
she
that was all
wasn't
there was
looking.
to it, it would have been a breeze. wouldn't it?
Wow!
I had a pocket full of little polystyrene balls for absolutely no reason. Just because I was a menace.
Holy shit! Vergular
And I was
has
banned
deepened.
for, I think, 3 years from RE, from religious education.
That's like all of
Ow.
it?
Yeah.
Out of like 4?
You know, I don't remember. That might have been all of it.
Wow!
Just that the lessons all changed after 3 years, and you picked your subjects. So yeah, I think that was the whole thing. But it was a Catholic school, so we might have had to do it. I can't remember. I didn't ever go to it, but I might have been allowed.
Wow. I was a good student. As good as I could be, considering I was, a mental health disaster. But
Yeah, I did get kicked out of RE in the first year of high school.
Wow. Good for you.
Yeah.
Here for it. Just Bertie the Menace.
It was horrible, so it makes sense, but it was very convenient for me, actually.
Tommy will something for money or to 557588. 557588. Oh, it's still there. Okay. 5557588.
Oh, it's Tammy, not Tommy.
Yeah. I liked it better when it was Tommy. Oh.
Good talk, Tommy. Can we put the phone down now?
Can I be done?
Can we open the door while he's doing this?
Nope, and I can't exit out of it.
Tommy. You're talking my dang ear off, Tommy.
Can we be? Oh, okay.
You.
Oh! Whoa! There's something over here? No. Is there something here? Dying is no game! The choking game? Space Monkey? Funky Chicken? California High? Sounds fun.
These
Tell
are
that to
all different things that the old people here call marijuana.
the...
You want that space monkey over there?
Choking game is dangerous and can lead to permanent injury and in many cases, death. Don't throw your precious life away chasing a high. I do what I want. You can't tell me what to do.
Did we go through the high school in 3 seconds and now we're just back on the streets?
I guess.
Huh.
Oh wait, so want me to go back in there? But there's nothing in there.
We just walked on through. There's 4,000 different rooms. How did we miss all these rooms?
Oh boy. Do I need to go? Okay, hold on. I didn't think there were any other doors in here. Okay. Did get a little distracted calling Tammy though.
Yeah.
So,
I
you
think
know.
it's definitely giving you bad dad points as well.
Look, at this point, we are fully embracing bad debt. That's a rat.
Alright.
There's nothing in here. I can't
Do we
grab
lose points for not closing cupboard after use? When the sign clearly says to close cupboard after use.
I'll close cupboard. I'm not a monster. I'm a menace, but not a monster. Yeah, I don't think I can go anywhere else. So I think I have to, like, go around? Oof. Harry, please.
Saying no to all but virgin does give you points towards the good ending, by the way. You were correct. Good choice.
LOL. So maybe we'll it'll be a net gain.
We're doing a psych profile on the people who made this game as they're doing the psych profile on us, you see?
Oh, this is something. Oh boy. Oh. 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 Okay.
Harry, you knocked all the gunkus everywhere.
Why can't you be relaxed with me, like you should? Is it your parents' house? You don't want to do it there? There's other places. Why you gotta be so frigid?
Oh, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Bad man.
Yeah.
Oh. Maze. What is this?
This 1 second loop music is a lot.
I can't jump over that. I'm very
Don't you
annoyed about that.
Walk all the way around because this
Yeah.
taking psychic damage from the music the whole time.
That's what they're hoping for.
It's like, I don't know why it bothers with this bit, because until we see everything start to freeze, as far as we're aware at this point, like, until, like, everything freezes over, there is no threat whatsoever.
Right?
So, like, why even bother?
Teeny is her name.
Hi, Teeny.
Yeah, it's like... I'm not necessarily, like, in any rush to do anything.
Which is weird, because it means the parts where you're actually in Silent Hill are safe.
it's a choice that they have made.
Made a
And
lot of
it's-
choices.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, are we That's a pretty sizable gap, Harry. This is Wow, okay.
He's spry.
I've just been thinking about Disco Elysium recently, and it reminds me of the part where he has to, like, jump over the roof.
I
you
really
could just
like that. I really like
fucking-
all of it.
Yeah.
You can't actually fall jumping off the roof. If you fail the check, he'll get too scared, and then he'll take morale damage.
Oh. Interesting.
You can go at Kim like, Kim, I need help, and he's like, you just jump. I can't help you, Bone. I'm sorry, but
Excuse me? Okay. Yeah. Oh, Harry. Other Harry. Of the Dubois variety.
very excited for Disco Elysium.
Same. Can I? No. Okay.
Been trying to think of a thing to do with Andy Cool Channel at some point. We could do a Disco Elysium. Andy says they've never played it.
Andy
I think
needs to
there's
play
a ghost
Disco
on the
Elysium.
sofa over there, unless
Yeah,
you
I
already saw.
I took a picture of it.
Why is the ghost still there? Oh, they went
It's
away?
always gonna be there, but now you can like see her.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
No, it's fine. We're talking about Disco Elysium, an actually good game that we
Disco
enjoy
Elysium's
and like.
Such a good game. I'm the
Perfect.
guy who doesn't like games that were made like within the last 15 years. Disco Elysium is
Perfect.
one of the best games.
Very good. There's something over here. Just snow and trash cans. Understood. Okay. Harry, where are we going? There's nowhere to go.
Yeah, this is wildly bad level.
Cat house. Well, that's not what I wanted to do. I
I'm gonna
wanted
get
to do
so many bad dad points for calling all these depraved houses of sin.
it.
Oh, they picked up.
Oh, barely. Wait. Oh, wait. No. This is where I just came from. Okay. But all the other places were dead ends, weren't they?
We jumped over a fucking roof to get here. Why is this really wrong?
That's the roof we jumped over.
Why would they peel this here if it's wrong?
Yeah.
We're just trying to get to the other part of the school, but there's no way into it.
They were very adamant about me wanting to go into the school, and I've been trying. Here's the thing, I'm trying to do that.
Can we climb that wall?
Harry.
It's very inconvenient just for getting around school.
Right?
I got one class on one half. They have to walk through the sleazy club.
But this-
jump over the roof of the burger.
This is looped back.
Oh.
We looped back.
Mm.
Okay, hold on. They want me to go through B? That looks like it's going through B into, like, D.
It leads to like nowhere.
Yeah.
Can we not get... Is there like a wall we can climb over if we go through A?
Climb over this? No.
Wrong sort of wall. It's too thick. You can't climb a wall that thick. You can't climb snowdrift. No one can walk on snow.
Don't do it, you'll get stuck. It's happened to me before.
Oh, jeez.
I got stuck in the snow for an hour.
Oh, no.
It's like we had sheep on the farm, right? And like it was the middle of the winter. We had just had a huge blizzard, and we needed to go check to make sure that the sheep had water.
Thought you were walking on sheep, and it turned out it was snow.
Well, it's like there was no way to get where I needed to go without going over this like 6-7 foot snow berm. And so like I like was very cautious about it, and like tried to like spread myself out enough that I could like climb over it, not necessarily have all my weight on any one spot, but there was a point where I had to like climb over, like I got to the top of it and had to like throw myself over. Maybe?
That looks climbable.
Oh! It was
Yeah.
climbable. I wish it was more obvious what was and was not climbable. Wait,
Where are we? Are we back at the start?
I think this is back at the start. This is back
How
at the
do you
start.
get into the school and around the different classrooms?
Ha ha ha, you don't! Isn't
Game, what do
this
you
fun?
want?
Oh, jeez. I don't know where I'm supposed to go.
It's somewhere in the school. It's in B,
Well,
but we
yeah.
can't go near B because there's too much snow.
I can't climb over these.
We can't touch anything. We can't do anything. Everywhere leads to outside the school.
Yeah.
Bring up phone. Dead quick.
Oops.
Is there, if we go to the right and just hug the wall, is there like a bit where we can climb over the wall there into that like alley?
Between C and A?
Yeah.
No, I think it's just a dead end. It's like a snow berm.
Yeah, it's just big old snow. It's a huge
Yeah.
snow. Can we walk through the snow? just go straight through, like the Terminator. So A only leads to outside. We can't get anywhere from there.
Yeah.
We can't get from this side of. What?
Sorry.
What do you want? From this side of the school, we can't access any other part of the school, right? Like straight up.
Yeah.
the-
Yeah, it's inaccessible.
So we have to like go through town and just come. But none of the buildings are enterable anywhere but in that one tiny space, which tells me we can't go
Yeah.
like down the road. I don't know what it wants.
We're gonna wander around just a bit longer.
Can we use acid to melt snow?
Well,
Seems a bit overkill, but
Well, that's the thing. Like, I've tried to like interact with this, and there's nothing in it that I can like touch.
what if
Yeah.
we really want some acid? Can we use a dead rat to melt snow? Can we rub the mouse on the snow?
Just apply rat to snow.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
This is where Tommy lives.
Yeah, this is Tommy Hall.
Yeah. Tommy Hall's the name of the lad who lives here.
There's not anything I can do with this.
Hmm.
I can't climb over that.
Yeah, that kind of wall's unclimbable.
Can't climb
'Cause
over
it's too
that
thick.
one. Yeah, there's a thick wall.
Only climbing little baby walls. They haven't grown into a fully developed wall yet.
And that's the horrible place that we went through first.
searching every nook and cranny for any possible way to go.
Yeah. Instead of going inside, let's go here.
It's so weird that everything loops around to the same place. Like, this isn't meant to be the hard part. This is meant to be the part you just walk through
Right?
and avoid looking at things.
It did hear me complaining about it being fairly linear, and it said, ha ha ha, jokes. Okay, that's the cat house, which we went into.
Yeah, this is just dead end road. This is the road with nothing
Yeah.
existent on it. This is where you
Yeah.
come to just not be able to progress in the game anymore.
Is there something in the car? Doesn't look interactable,
Doesn't look it.
and it doesn't have the little arrow that we usually get when something is here to be interacted with. So maybe we go back upstairs, and maybe there's another roof I can yeet myself onto.
Maybe.
Please. There. Nothing back here. Gonna get sleazy dad for hanging out in this horrible place for too long.
Yeah, you're gonna get all the sleaze points.
That's not anything. What? Oh, weird. I'm very far away from that. Rat. Who's drawn these pictures?
I don't think they're old enough that they should be here.
Right? No other roof. Okay, well...
There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go and nothing to interact with.
Yeah... Just take one more look around in here. And then... Probably...
I could look it up, but I...
No.
Okay, that's fine. What a shame we gotta stop playing. That's fair, we're only... Wait, did you find it?
Yes?
There's a way?
Yes? Yes. Yes.
Just one random door in one random building that actually takes you to where you need to be.
It's Connie, the School of Hard Knocks.
Harry said something about it, but he said it in 1/10 of a second.
Yeah.
I can't even read the... Oh.
Tends to be the case.
The jump scare where noise
You got all your books?
came on and it was so loud I couldn't tell what was jump scaring us.
How come you don't do your hair? The other girls tell you to do your hair like that? I thought you looked great with pigtails. Okay, honey.
Is this actually
You
where
have a
we
nice
go, or is
day.
this nowhere?
Well,
Is this another dead end?
It's a good question. It might be another dead end.
Where are we on?
Wait.
Oh,
Oh.
can we climb
Can I
that wall?
open
or-
this?
Yeah. Oh,
I'm just gonna pull these out with my bare hands.
yeah, no problem.
And we open. Climb. Where are we?
We're in
We
school.
made her. We're in B. This is where we need to be.
Did
We're
it.
in school. Wow, that was
See,
horrible.
with the psych profiling, they could tell when we're about to give up, and they just made us walk in circles until that exact moment.
Uh-huh.
Oh
Choking.
no!
It's the choking game. Oh, excuse me?
Oh,
No, I don't want to save that image.
That's a nice new belt, Todd. Oh, thank you, Mom. You have a nice day at school. Sure, Mom. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Sure, Mom. Whoa.
So everyone's into
the hell shower.
Okay. Hi, kids. Today we're gonna learn about autoerotic asphyxiation. Hope you're excited. Poor choice of words, probably. What does that say? Christopher, protect us. Christopher Christ. No, it's Saint Christopher. Not Jesus Christopher.
Jesus
Understood.
H. Christopher.
Understood. Okay. Get me out of here. You. Oh. We, freezing up again? Or is there something around here? Do I care?
If you were gonna, like, do this weird, like, idea where you psychologically profile the player and you were gonna specifically do it in a Silent Hill game, and you're gonna do, like, a retelling of a Silent Hill, this is the worst one you could pick, right?
Absolutely.
Because it's not even about Harry, really.
Well,
Like,
it's like
Silent Hill is entirely about Alessa.
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with Harry.
He come back, he cut him again. If he comes back, we cut him again?
That's
Oh.
They're in the right place. If that's how the literacy is progressing.
Yeah, no, it's like if you want to do like a
You do
Silent
Silent
Hill
Hill too.
game, you do any other Silent Hill? Like you wouldn't necessarily.
Silent Hill 2 kind of does it anyway, right? With like if you the way it picks what ending you get.
Kind of.
And there's not like a good ending and bad endings in Silent Hill 2. They're just all kind of bad endings.
Yeah, it's
just the bad thing has already happened.
James is a bad man.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely like you wouldn't want to do it with a game that has a pre-established character. Like 2 would be a good candidate for it, or just do a new game entirely
absolutely
with a character that we don't know.
Do a new game.
But you know, this is fine. Just make the game that I adore just horrible, actually.
Yeah, I think it's trying to take like the aspect that Silent Hill is very personal to, you know, the person who's going through it.
Yeah, but
it's taking it in like
a weird way.
This game was about Alessa. You've made it like less correct by doing this.
Yeah.
It wasn't Harry's Silent Hill.
It was never Harry's Silent Hill.
Harry's just a dad. He's just the best dad.
He's just my sweet boy. Be nice to him. I don't know what's happening right now.
No,
this place is
just some wiggling. If I don't see everything go blue, I don't care. Like, it's not, you can't scare me. It's not blue.
I guess I got concerned because it, like, sounded like there were the monsters there, but nothing had changed, and I couldn't see anything, but they were screeching. And so I was like, oh, I guess I have to run now, but then Harry wasn't hustling. So I need to go to the building that is directly behind me. Get out of there. Because we're still trying to get to the gym, right? Ugh.
Yeah. I guess the more trying to do this weird, like, I don't know what that was, but we'll just move on.
Like, just stopped commenting on all of it.
It's trying to do first and foremost, the weird like psychological profiling thing. There's always a key in there. Oh, I guess not. It's a ring.
Oh, I was gonna try and zip him back up, but you
Sure.
know, not allowed. I don't want to be indecent, Dad.
The first and foremost thing it's doing is just doing this weird idea they had where like the game changes depending on what stuff you look at.
But
And
it doesn't
then
change that
far
much.
in the background is Silent Hill 1. But like
it's ambitious for when
It's
this came out, which is
strange.
2009, and it's like they didn't I would be interested in playing a game like
It
this
is ambitious.
now.
It is ambitious,
but-
and it's wild that like they put so much effort in. They got everything wrong, but like
Yeah.
this was the one after Homecoming,
Yeah.
which is just zero effort.
Yeah.
No attempt was ever made to make a good game of any kind there.
Same. Yeah. Yeah. I it's yeah, at least like I'd be interested in playing something like this that wasn't a Silent Hill entry.
That was specifically, like especially that wasn't Silent Hill 1, because
Yeah.
you know
It's just not it's not a good candidate.
one
for
of these
this.
two ideas just don't mesh at all, and two kind of like Silent Hill 1. This is kind of ass.
Yeah. Okay, I have a ring.
I think that would that just a memento? It only gives you a phone call after you just pick up a memento, though, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, let's see. Well, I guess I'm still not where I need to be fully, huh?
Ugh.
Go downstairs? But what is that room, then? Might neighbors also stop jumping around upstairs? Consider.
No. How is there a door there when there's no?
But when there's no door there, how's there a door there when there's no door there? Hey, game? Hey, game?
Built this school.
The madman. Okay, hold on. This. Oh, those are numbers.
It's a phone number.
555. Something for 4257.
If it tells us in dialogue the phone number, we still might just not be able to finish this puzzle.
Yeah.
Well, that's not what we wanted to see. If you could actually call the number, though. Is the number wrong, or is the whole damn system wrong?
I think the number is wrong because it exits out really quickly.
It does that sometimes when you call someone, it just skips the call in 1 second.
Yeah. Oh no. Can't unlock this because it's... Nah. Huh. Oh! These were blank. Are they me?
Oh.
What does it mean? What does it mean? Okay. Huh. Well.
This is where it wants every. Do we need to move guys around? Because there's no. Oh, do you have to be on the other side? Oh, the little guys have fallen down.
Okay.
Oh no. What do you? Is this supposed to be part of the puzzle that these? Oh, this is ass.
Oh.
8, 8, 8452.
Or is it 8 4 like 0 7?
Could be 8407. I don't know what other numbers you could make out of the two swans.
Yeah. Okay. That's the wrong button. 5 5 5 8 4.
The fact that they don't like lock to specific positions is really bad.
Infuriating, in fact.
Yeah. Okay, what are we meant to do with this fucking swan?
Swans. What's your deal, swans?
I just want them like really close together, right?
Is it a 6?
6. That's a number.
8 4 6 7? 8 4 6 7. 8 4. What other numbers exist?
None of them look like two swans, is the problem.
Yeah.
I'm not going to. Oh, this is dumb.
This is acceptable. They have to be positioned like this, is the thing. With this one on this side and this one over here. Wow! Wait.
8465?
Because you can turn these.
Oh.
That's
The thing said 8465. But he
Yeah.
already looks like it.
No, it's because you can turn the vice over here as well. It's stupid.
I didn't realize they were meant to be on. They were meant to show up on the sheets of paper in the back either.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so 5 5 5 8 4 6 5.
Oh, we're calling shadows.
I don't want to call shadows.
Did we call shadows? What did shadows say, Harry?
It's okay.
Apparently
Okay.
the door unlocked.
Oh, okay. Well,
It was what it was supposed to say is the door is open.
well, it definitely did not.
Definitely did not. I think it would be. Wasn't there another door in that room? That you said opened from a different place?
I think that was the door. Excuse you.
No, this is probably the right way, huh?
Look at my new look. Dahlia. Like Gillespie? Like Dahlia Gillespie?
Wait, why are you calling us Dahlia? Doesn't?
Like Alessa's mom? What is she doing here? What's this?
I'm you're busy. You have a ritual to do.
1031?
555 1031.
Oh,
Oh, jeez.
Jesus.
Settle down, settle down. When you start high school, a lot of us.
Okay, I don't care.
Yeah.
555 1031.
I can't remember.
I only remember because it was the Halloween date. It's the date of Halloween.
Damn.
So of course I would remember it. Okay, cool. Useless. Stupid. Dumb. I'm a lazy
Unlock
dad
somewhere
now.
else.
Oh, is it
1031.
or is it 1053? No, it's 1031.
Why did you
Okay.
say 1053 on the thing?
Probably to ruse ya.
Just a ruse.
Just to ruse ya. Bye, balloon.
Oh, we got jump scared. The balloon flew away.
So scared.
It's prom again. It's not going to be worth listening to.
You're never gonna get old.
We're never gonna be like our parents.
Never gonna be apart.
Okay, well. How'd that work out for y'all? I never went to prom. Because it was stupid.
I didn't either.
And I hated everyone. Prom is stupid.
It's not
That's-
as big a thing here, but there were like some people like getting excited about it, and it's just like, I just don't care, and I will not go, and you cannot make me.
Right though? Stupid. Ma'am?
Maybe I didn't treat you quite as good as I should have.
Okay,
This
let's
fucking piano.
skip cutscene.
Like the singing wasn't good, and there was just someone
Yeah,
clicking random
we're
keys
lucky
on a
the door
piano
wasn't
over the top of it.
Bingo.
Breaking into the principal's office? Well, the door was unlocked.
And we both feel bad about it.
Is this
Sorry, Mrs.
happening
Albright.
right now?
She's still around. I remember her.
What do you
When I
mean? What do you
graduated,
mean
she's
you
already
remember
graduated,
her,
right?
Harry?
Varnish, too.
That's the principal's PC.
You didn't go to school here, buddy.
A gang of kids in my class used to hack it to change their grades.
And you?
Hey, I didn't need to cheat. They never got caught, but it rattled Principal Fisher. He used to change his passwords every day. I don't think it helped.
Are we gonna hack his PC?
Yeah.
Are you
See
a
if we can
computer
copy Cheryl
hacker?
Mason. See if my Cheryl and your Cheryl are the same.
And if they're not, we can get out of here?
Sure. Oh, don't mind me. I'm just gonna text my boyfriend. He was supposed to meet me here.
Uh-huh, okay. Oh boy. I have to figure out his password. For Dad from Otto. Is it Otto? Oh god. No. Guess he doesn't love you, kid. What's this? Hickey? Nikki?
Could be both. You definitely getting bad dad points from looking at it. What are you doing, you maniac?
Hawaii?
That's some Comic Sans.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so maybe it's Nikki or Hickey. Try Nikki first. Ooh, not Noki.
Hickey.
Gicky.
Is it Geki?
Is it Gicky? I forgot what I was spelling for a second. No. Is it Hawaii? No. Okay, I forgot my password. Wasted 3 years in order to major in
Hawaii studies. Good question.
geology.
Beautiful.
Harry, please.
This is not
Harry.
a very secure system.
Right. Geology.
This is what Archon were doing when he was hacking.
My only true four-legged friend, Nikki. Or Hickey. Nivki.
I can imagine Harry typing this fast. That's incorrect.
My star sign, not that I believe in that crap.
Why are you telling your computer that you don't believe in that? Why are you telling your password recovery system? I don't believe in this.
Hamlet. He has 2 copies of 12th Night?
That's 24th Night.
Listen, 12th Night, one of my favorites. You don't need 2 of them, though. It's a little overkill, buddy.
Too many nights?
It's way too many nights. Cup that says auto. Is that your star sign, sir? Does it show his birthday on here?
Lady, do you know how old this guy is? Do you know when his birthday is?
Oh, wait. There's much room, actually.
Oh, it's about the 65. November 12th?
What is November?
I have no idea.
Is it Scorpio? Hold on.
What?
I am looking it up. November 12th. Is Scorpio! Dang.
Dang.
Look at me. Oop. Scorpio?
Scorpio. It's also the day that Plymouth was incorporated by the English Parliament.
Dang.
In 1439.
1 year before Magnum Carta. No, that's.
One before Magna. I just looked up what happened on that day for no reason.
Oh, it broke the computer.
Oh.
Heather? Cheryl Heather Mason. This is my daughter, Heather.
Call the ambulance.
Call the ambulance. I'm having a strong. Oh, we are phasing through a wall. Harry, please.
He's just sliding on through.
What?
We're in the other room now. I'll be outside. Just lights through wall.
Oh my god. Oh, there's the sign with the star
Are we
signs.
talking to Dahlia?
I think so. Is it the same Dahlia? Because I don't think it's the same Dahlia. Oh.
Oh no! We almost got trapped in there.
Oh.
Monsters.
It is monster time.
Monster mod. Monster set to yes.
Are we trying to just get outside? Because we look like we're outside. We're just trying to leave the high school, right?
Yeah, it doesn't follow any of the
Yeah.
geography that previously existed, which
Makes it a little
the
difficult.
horrible Dark World maze is just the worst.
Yeah. Alright, buddy. Oh. 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 Ah! This is fine.
This is fine.
It keeps telling me to smash the X button, and I do, and it does nothing?
Yeah, it's just gonna make you fail the quick time event if that comes up.
Yeah, also I could have pulled that locker down, and I didn't, but that's fine. Oh, shit. Left-hand wall.
Hey! Go away, little guy.
I will say, at least with the quick time events, it is, like, obvious until that happens. It makes it pretty clear which button you're supposed to hit, because it's whichever side the monsters grab you from.
Nice.
Unless they get you at the door. So, like, if they grab you from the right-hand side... Harry, please, you're supposed to turn. If they grab you from the right, you hit circle. And if they grab you from behind, it's X.
Okay.
Also, that said main entrance. So, like, while it's annoying,
Hey!
I will, like... It's not... It could be worse.
Damn it! The door's shut behind you. I guess you're on your own. Show me some balls, okay? They're inside, so just go
You
find
have
them
to
and get
ask
photos.
first.
And the nails
Who
are
are we
easy
talking
bastard, right?
to?
I'll try and get the doors open. Get moving.
Hey, what? New waypoint added. It would be nice if Harry could turn.
Yeah.
Like, in a way that made sense. Hi.
Harry, bud, where are we going? Does Harry know where he's going?
To the
There's
various
a lot of
X
X.
marks?
Possibly.
Oh, fuck
Come on,
off.
Paul.
Okay, we want to go to the rooms that are red?
Do we take photos or what are we doing here?
That's a good question.
Don't look like we can go in. Go away.
Yeah. So then are we trying to find... Oh. Excuse you.
But do we fucking fly that guy?
This is miserable.
Yeah.
Get off. I'm gonna... I don't know that I can do all of these without dying. Is the thing.
I Fair concern. Considering that there's no like avoiding damage, there's just a limited amount of time we can walk around.
Yeah.
And we need them to leave us alone while we take pictures.
Okay, and I think
It's
the
too
others are...
long.
Be nice if I could, like, take a moment to, like, look at my phone. Fully.
No.
I mean, clearly.
That was soundless.
Yeah,
That
it
was silent.
was.
Locker. This is looping back around to where we just were, is it?
Yeah, I think so. I'm just trying to
Horrible.
put a little space between me and the guys.
So we can look at the map.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I need to go back the way that we came and take a right.
I wonder if it's just in the fucking building at like a dead end.
Yeah.
That's pretty horrible. It's pretty not okay.
Oh my god, go away. Get off. And then we take a right.
Oh. Hey.
And then that
Oh, we're really
should
here.
be where we ended up. Like,
Oh, lovely.
how we exit, I think.
Yeah. Can we
Yeah.
take photos of that down now, or?
I think so.
Oh.
Oh.
The old wow. Out.
Wow. Wow. Who's that in the car with Teach? Oh no. Wow,
I
this
think
is
you might have
horrible.
gone on to sex weirdo dad. Your dado type has changed.
But it's not, but I didn't mean for it to.
You kept getting lost and walking back through the club.
Well, okay, that, even then.
And you
I
called,
was about to cut off if
what
I
is
wanted to
there?
go a little longer.
Thanks.
Tommy.
You okay? Any luck with the phone?
I did call
That
Tommy,
didn't
you're
make any
right.
sense.
Should
I need
have
to
called
go there.
Tommy.
The Simmons Street address? That's
Should have
the
not
other side
called
of town.
Tommy.
Tommy, you
Horrible.
sex
Car.
weirdo dad.
I was planning on getting a ride with John.
But I
there's
don't
no
want
bike
to be
SUV.
sex weirdo dad.
I'm looking after it while she's
The
on
worst
vacation. It's at the
possible
club where I
dad.
work, not far from here.
That would be great. Lead the way.
How much more of this game do we have?
You had a car.
Like,
You had a car.
Well,
definitely
if you want
halfway.
Take your coat.
it, Just ask.
Plate of churros.
Sure. This weather. I hope Cheryl isn't out in the weather.
This is
I'm sure she's waiting for you at home.
something, huh?
Yeah, we're about halfway, I think.
Oh god.
Judging by how many interviews there is.
We'll get to the next interview bit and then probably call it there.
Could actually finish this.
Potentially. We'll consider. It's bad. It is a bad video game,
bad.
but
There's a lot more effort has gone into it than I'd expected.
yeah.
An attempt was made to do something weird.
Still not a good one.
I do
but-
think the essence of Silent Hill is, or should be, if you're confused, just do something weird.
He's not far now.
Yeah.
I think that's a good
Hottest nightclub in town.
rule to follow.
I'd rather get like weird experimental
right?
like Silent Hill
What do you do?
games that end up
Yeah.
kind of flopping because they
Sometimes
They
I
aren't-
mix drinks.
they don't
It's a
know what they're
tutoring game while
doing,
John
then
sort things out.
trying to
Yeah.
Staying in
grab
Massachusetts.
onto like
He's a
the
lawyer.
very specific parts of like some of the Silent Hill games.
You
And
wanna
going
being
to
like-
Massachusetts?
the hospital with the sexy nurses and fighting
Love
Pyramid Head.
Massachusetts so much.
Yeah.
I want to be with
I'll
John.
I'll take this
And
over
John?
all of that any
He
day.
wants it too.
Even if
It's
I
just
am
hard.
sex weirdo dad.
For 5 years
You
we
did
never lived
become.
together.
You did end
Now
up
we're out
being
in the
sex
world,
weirdo dad.
living our
I
lives.
didn't mean for it to happen. I'm sorry.
He's probably just lousy at
Well,
showing.
you should have
I
thought
know
that
it is.
before you became
Lots of
sex
touchy
weirdo
feelings.
dad.
I
John's not like that. Back in school, he
Wait.
was very passionate.
But
They say absence
listen.
makes the heart grow fonder.
You believe that?
Also,
Absolutely.
John. Is that Kaufman's name? John?
I genuinely don't know. I only know it was Kaufman.
Same.
If it is John Kaufman, that's the John part is too ordinary to remember.
His first name is
Can
Doctor?
I see some ID?
Yeah.
Probably 21s only.
Sorry, mine was taken by a cop.
Really? How come?
I'm not sure she trusts me.
Well,
That's not an answer
Well,
to the
everyone gets
question.
this
A
once
cop
before,
took my.
sign of trouble.
Why did a cop take your ID? I don't think she does trust you, bud. She took your ID.
Would you like to elaborate on why she might not trust you?
the ball.
Oh.
Last time I was in a nightclub was from a.
I need to answer this. The keys are in my room upstairs. Run up and grab them. John, where have you been? I guess I can let you off the hook then. But you're gonna have to make it up to me. Uh-huh.
I don't want to be here.
Oh.
I don't want to be here. This
You
is
should
just
go
gonna
to
make
like
me
a
weirdo.
church and pray away the sex weirdo dad point.
Right? Okay, Dahlia, go away.
Dahlia, you're not busy.
Why am I getting your keys if you're not doing anything? Ma'am, you know where your stuff is, so go get your stuff. Wow, what a great moment that was. What am I using? Okay. Great. Game, you're making me be a weak, horrible. I don't remember what the other word in that was.
Oh. I mean,
Why
I
are
see-
your
I
keys
can-
in with the cookies? Who the
No, I
fuck?
can place for. It's wicked and weak.
Wicked and weak.
Dad. The kind of dad who looks at things.
I'm looking at things.
A real
Oh,
dad
Boy,
would
am I
only ever
looking.
look at his child as if his nose was magnetized to them. Would be blind to the world around them.
Oh boy. Bad
Got
dad.
the keys.
I just need to finish my drink. Take a seat.
It sounds like you don't need anything more to drink. I'm good.
Things
Oh
go
god,
okay
there's
with
nowhere
John?
to look that's not going to
No,
put me in
everything
a...
is booze.
Come meet me
I
here
don't
and
think you
drop
can
you
get
off.
drunk, Dad, because you didn't
This
say that
weather
thing at
is
the
such a
beginning, so
pain.
you're allowed to look at booze now.
Oh,
You didn't
okay.
say
then-
that.
Drink.
That having a drink
No, it's
calms you
fine.
down, so you're locked out of
confused
the
enough as
drunk
it
dad
is.
ending.
Oh,
Just wanna get
good.
going, put today behind me.
I just don't... There's nowhere to look, because I assume if I look at her, at any point, it's gonna be like, oh, you're sleazing!
Wife?
No, if you look at her boobs, then you get sex weirdo
Yeah,
points.
but so I'm trying to keep it up here, but then I'm staring at the
But then the
alcohol, and
booze,
it's...
yeah,
Oh,
it's
I
sad.
feel lightheaded. Better go clear my head.
Sorry, I feel lightheaded. I'm trying very hard to not look at anything.
There needs to be a close eyes button.
Right?
In
Are we...
the Alone in the Dark game, there's a blink button.
Who
This
is-
game needs a blink button more than that. In the like Xbox 360 Alone in the Dark.
That lady just full on man spread in a mini skirt.
Practicing my signature. We ready to go?
Where's Michelle? Where's Michelle?
Funny. Come on, let's get going.
Who's Michelle?
I'm going to drive. You, Mr.
Who
Harry,
is-
are way over the limit.
Stop. This is out of control. I
came in here with a girl called Michelle. She was
No,
going to
you
drop
came
me
in
at
here with a girl named Dahlia.
Who are you?
Are you on something?
No, this is Dahlia.
Hottest piece of ass you'll ever see in this town.
This is
You are
Dahlia.
Harry Mason.
The
Huh?
old lady who's in charge of the cult.
What are you wearing these for?
Classic Dahlia.
Stop being a dick and let's get going. We'll get to Simmons Street.
Huh?
Just exactly as you remember, huh? Dahlia.
Come on, you're not that wasted. That's why we're in this lousy club. To get the SUV so we can drive up to Simmons Street.
That's right, but
It's just...
Everyone is confused. No one knows what's happening. I thought the lady we were with before was Dahlia.
No, this is Dahlia, the elderly wizard. You know Dahlia.
I don't recognize her without her big, silly novelty tie. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's true. I love a big tie.
Guess that means we don't have to stop for any red lights.
Ma'am, I think you should still stop for red lights, okay?
Screw that. Let's cut up on Kincaid.
So, I think
You're very
they've
quiet there, Harry.
took the essence of Silent One more than the detail. Not even the essence. The name? The concept of man goes to town and looks for his daughter and it's cold out.
Do this to me, Harry. Don't start
They didn't get
tripping
further
out.
than that. They read the first sentence of the Wikipedia. Plot synopsis.
Oh,
remember most things.
God.
Harry goes to the remote town of Silent Hill looking for his daughter. Heard all I need to hear.
Say no more.
I really don't know
Yep,
who I am.
got.
No.
Sid and Nancy?
Who are Sid and Nancy?
Like,
Tits?
Sid Vicious and...
We're sleeping together?
Okay.
This is a joke, right? A really lame joke.
This is...
It was.
I hate this. What is happening?
Shit, the bridge is up.
Yeah, I see that.
What can we do?
Run up to the control room. See if you can get it moving.
Okay.
There is a big bridge that you have to make go down in Silent Hill 1.
Oh, forgetting what you're doing.
Yeah, there is.
See, it's fifth.
I got it.
In Silent Hill 1, Dahlia is not Harry's wife. Dahlia is the head of the cult and also an elderly wizard.
She's got a
Who's trying
big
to
funny tie
summon,
on.
Yeah, who's trying to summon a demon by abusing her daughter.
Yeah. Harry's not about that. He would never. 555-3411.
Are we talking?
No.
What's the
No.
good ending? Are we talking
It's just-
love lost Harry, or are we talking drunk dead Harry, or wicked and weak Harry? Sleeves and sirens Harry.
None of the above. Oh. Okay. Well, here's hoping I know how to work this. Okay. Great. Hello? Oh, okay.
Thanks, Dahlia.
Oh, message.
Yeah, Mr. Mason? I guess we got cut off and I can't seem to get through on your phone. Listen, to lower the bridge, here's what you do. First you push the start button. A colored light will come on. If it's blue, move the center lever.
Oh
If
god.
it's red, move the left lever.
Blue,
If it's green,
center,
don't do
red,
anything, just wait.
left, green,
And
wait.
if the yellow light comes on, move the right lever.
Okay.
You just gotta keep doing this until the bridge engages.
I've already forgotten most of
Best luck,
those.
Mr. Mason.
Green means do nothing. Blue and yellow are left and right. Red was middle?
We wait.
Green's nothing. Yeah. Is bridge working? I think it'd have worked by now.
Yeah. Did I get... Wait.
It's doing the same loop over and over again.
Yeah, I don't remember what the thing was.
Out check message? No, we don't want to call any of these people.
Sir, please, you have to let me listen. You have to let me listen.
Yeah, Mason?
I'm gonna write
I
this
guess we
down.
got cut off and I can't seem to get through on your phone.
Blue,
Listen, to lower the
yellow.
bridge, here's what you do.
No, blue, green,
First
yellow,
you push the start
red
button. A
is
colored
the
light
order
will
that
come
they're
on. If
in.
it's blue, move the center
Blue
lever.
is middle. Right,
red,
that's what we're doing wrong.
Yeah.
If it's green,
Red
don't
is
do
left.
anything, just wait.
Yellow is right.
And if the yellow light comes on, move the right lever.
Okay,
You just gotta
okay.
keep doing this.
Okay.
Okay.
Also, the red and yellow are on the wrong sides from the lever that they move.
Yeah. That's center.
Yep.
Yellow
That's right.
is right.
Red's left.
There we
Hey.
go. Great. Go through Harry. Alright. Dolly, I did it. I fixed bridge. No, I don't want to look at her. You can't make me.
Oh.
I do kind of want to look at her though. If she's scooting. Oh. Oh. She frozen.
Heck.
We should not be in here, I think. Lol. Well, this is unfortunate.
Nice there's nothing to look at down near that ruin her dad's skull. On the bottom of the ocean. If we passed the wreck of the Titanic, how would that affect her dad's skull?
Then do I unlock and open? Do I have to wait? Oh, Harry. Oh, Harry. Let's just quickly fill it up. Because you can't open the door if the car isn't full of water.
Well, the question is, do they know that?
Oh, well, I'm assuming that yes, they do. Because there's nothing else for me to do.
That's true. We are on the ocean floor right now. I think it's as full as it's gonna get.
Yeah. Okay, well, can I open this one? Oh, wait, give me that.
Gonna go ahead and say they probably didn't know that that's what you're supposed to do.
Oh, well, unfortunate.
Do we smash a window? They always do that in movies.
That's what I'm trying
Looks
to
more
figure out.
dramatic. Can we bash it with the torch? I think the radio's broken.
Excuse you.
Oh.
Rude? Oh, well, I guess I live here now.
Guess so.
Stop fighting. Don't think I will.
No.
Over soon. Cold. I would love to not be in here anymore, I think. Because I can't really see anything.
Very wibbly in.
Yeah.
Can hold his breath a really long time.
Can I open this now? I can! Lol.
He's quick! Is this what you do if you can't go in the wall? You just slide on out of there?
It's true. It's so very true. What are you saying to me, Kaufman?
Surrounded by family. Academic, really. As we're only truly conscious of death when it happens to others. Yet to my age, you'll have seen plenty of people die. There once, then...
What does that mean, Kaufman?
Okay, game time. There are 7 pictures of people on the table. Your job is to tell me who is dead and who is merely sleeping. Divide them up. Left, dead. Right, sleeping.
Okay. Sleeping. That kind.
Oh, the last questions where we picked the subjects that they like show up in the background on something at some point. I didn't see it.
Oh.
Like the one you picked, it just puts the words in on the thing in the background.
Weird. Okay. That man kind of seems dead. That man looks sad.
What's that chairman? That guy's super asleep.
Okay. Yes.
It's just an exercise. Doesn't matter if you were right or wrong. In reality, they were all sleeping.
I think if you put more on the dead column, he says, in reality, they were all dead.
Oh.
So even that's not true. Also, instead, if you put everything on one side instead of that, he says, I bet you thought it was a trick question, even though it obviously was a trick question.
Hoffman, please. I don't know that this man should be licensed as a therapist.
No.
Call me crazy, but... A wheelchair?
Who's Dahlia?
A girl. The car went into the river. She drowned.
We have a pink shirt on.
This is a different girl?
You must have seen the bridge. We went right off the
Were
side.
we alien boyfriend all along?
The bridge has been closed since the storm started. You swam. You could have died of hypothermia.
No, I slid.
Close.
You were soaked to the skin. I grabbed what I could find here. We need to talk. When I was at the station, I pulled
I don't think we can
on
talk.
Harry Mason.
So?
Lol. She's gone blue.
Dabba-dee.
Excuse me? Excuse me? Excuse me? I thought we were gonna have a wandering part, so I could save and
wheel on out of there.
And quit? We are in Alchemilla Hospital now, though.
Oh, we're gonna see sexy nurses in Pyramid Head. It's happening.
I'm gonna have to keep my head down so low.
Yeah.
I don't get to control which direction we're going. I just hit X.
Harry, it's fine. You can walk. You don't need to use a wheelchair.
Well,
wish it were power fucking serve.
Yeah, same.
I was hoping that was just gonna be like a quick thing, like quick time event, and then you just in walking around mode again.
Yeah, actually, can I? No. Okay. Where? Oh.
Got 'em.
Oh, okay. Harry said I don't want that flare, actually.
That one was gross. It's been lying on the floor for ages.
Stop. You can't fail the quick time event before it even shows up.
Horrible.
Bad here.
Yeah.
Harry,
We
we're
were
gonna
in the
die,
hospital.
buddy.
Now we're in like a subway station?
Yeah.
Very briefly in the hospital. The hospital made a cameo.
They dropped the name of the hospital, and that's all you get.
You thought we were gonna do Silent Hill on this Silent Hill.
No, never. Not even once. Okay, please let me be out of here. I don't want to be here anymore.
They should have like asked at some point, like, what part of this is supposed to be like fun or engaging or anything but a big old waste of time.
Yeah, but
If there's
No,
no point that is supposed to be any of those things, maybe just don't do it.
right. Okay, we're heading in the right direction.
Nice.
Great, because I had no idea where I was going because they just kind of dropped me in and expected me
I
to.
love when that happens though, and we just happen to be going the right way. Alright, we're in
Okay.
puzzle mode. Can we save in puzzle mode?
Yes, yes, we can.
Nice.
Perfect. I need it to stop making noise at me. Stop. Okay, there we go.
You've done 4 of the 7 therapy sessions, is
Oh.
why I think we're halfway.
God, is that? That's too many.
It's
That's
too many?
too many sessions to sit with Kaufman, Mr.
He is Kaufman, by
Dr.
the way,
Kaufman.
also.
It is?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. And I don't like that because he's not a therapist in the original game. He's just a regular doctor. He's not qualified to be doing this work. We will probably finish this at some point because, you know, we've gotten this far and we haven't gotten lost, so that's exciting.
Yeah.
It's a bad video game though. Who do we want to raid? Got Cauliflumps doing Raft. Saint Trina doing software and games. I don't know what that is. Game development. Oh!
Ooh.
She might be making a game.
Ah.
And Flowers is doing some Story of Seasons. What would we like to do?
Sorry, Seasons is a fan thing, so
Yeah.
we'll miss that one.
It's not my kind of game.
Not the vibe here.
No. I think we've rated Trina more than we've rated Cauliflumps recently.
Cauliflumps then? Yeah, it's been a minute since we rated
Yeah.
Cauliflumps.
And it looks like they're streaming with Ghost Peppers as well.
Ooh.
And we love both these people. So, let's do a ding dang raid over to Cauliflumps. There are the raid messages, which I should probably copy myself if I plan on doing this. We'll go say hi to Collie Flumps. We'll finish this game at some point. I don't know when, because I was looking forward to Kadalka next week.
We can set Kadalka next week and keep this one in the back pocket. This was
Yeah.
interesting, even if, it's not been great.
We went into it knowing it wasn't going to be a good video game, and so with that in mind, it's not been as horrible as I was anticipating, but it's still not good.
I've been happy to see that we're making a lot of progress through it
right?
as well.
Yes.
We're getting through it.
If we had gotten stuck like we did with
Bendy,
absolutely. I would have immediately quit. I was getting real close with the gym bit, trying to get into the gym. But it pulled through at the last second.
It was very silly.
It was very silly. But yeah, thank you all for being here. Thanks, Rudy, for hanging out. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah, bye, friends.